Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Zen Master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode 114. As always, you can check out this podcast on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes. If you're on iTunes, please rate, subscribe, and leave a review. We are also now recently on Spotify, so you can check us out there. We're also on Google Play. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hit us up on Facebook at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page. And as of yesterday or 2 days ago, we are now on Instagram. So you can go to Instagram, follow us at Dojo Talk Podcast. We are there also. I'm not sure what the Instagram content will be. I've been trying to post at least a few times a day. Pretty much, all MMA related stuff. So give us a follow on Instagram. Linton Fasel follows us, and he's a fighter, so you should follow us too. That's my sales pitch. So yeah, we are on Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning back in. And of course, as always, I'm joined with my co-host, the Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just sensory overload right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fights this weekend.
I was literally staring at like 3 different screens last night.
Yeah, it was a lot going on. Like I had Bellator on the right side of my screen. I think I had Invicta on the left side, and then UFC came in. They snuck in there. Oh no, the UFC was on first. So luckily, thank God that card started at 8. I was ecstatic. That was the best way the UFC could have went out on Fox. Like just a short card, 4 fights. It just all worked out.
It's over by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or 10:30, I guess, because the main event went long. But yeah.
And then we had to watch 20 more fights after that, or if you chose to watch all of those other fights. But nah, man. So yeah, we will have a lot to talk about today. But first, as always, the top listens for the week. Number 1 city was Brooklyn, New York. Coming in at number 2, very randomly, Bucharest, Romania. Coming in at number 3, Monticello, New York. Number 4, San Francisco, California. And coming in at number 5, we got Orlando, Florida. So shout outs to all of the listeners. Special shout outs to the Tumblr listenership. I think the day of reckoning's pretty soon, isn't it?
It's tomorrow.
Oh man. So by the time you guys will have heard this, Tumblr will have already dropped the hammer.
We might not exist anymore on Tumblr.
Yeah,
well, I might not. I don't know about you.
I'll hang around, I'll hang around, but
well, I mean, I might be forced off the site. I posted a picture. I posted the poster for Bellator 213 last night to just let people know it was happening. And I got it got the the red question mark of doom.
Jesus Christ. Well,
too much Leo nipple. So.
Well, hopefully, because by the time you guys will hear this, it'll probably be the day after Tumblr drops the hammer. But listen, man, if you guys can hear my voice, if you're out there, if you were following us on Tumblr, if this goes in the worst way and everybody flees, man, follow us on all other socials. Like I said, I'm on Twitter at Serial Sensei. Anti-Cool's on Twitter. We're both on Instagram, I believe.
Yes.
We're on other platforms. So I'll have all of the links in the description so you can know where to follow us if Tumblr blows up and everybody has to evacuate the building.
We're still on Facebook as well.
Yeah. So
like we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Every other platform we're pretty much on. But I hope the Tumblr thing works out. We know you guys are the core base, but if everybody has to flee, you know, we're still other places. So, but shout out to Tumblr listenership, everybody on Twitter, all you good folks. So, like we said earlier, man, there were a lot of fights this weekend. There were like 4, 5 cards going on. But before we get to the fights, you know, news and notes for the week. Not really a super busy week. Couple of interesting fights booked, but not one of the slower news weeks. But I'll just start from the top. One big, one of I would say 2, possibly 3 big fights announced. Though I reserve my excitement for this fight. But Cain Velasquez, after I don't know however long he's been gone, some years now.
July 2017?
Really, it's only been that long?
Because he fought Travis Brown there, didn't he?
I can't remember. It feels like it's been so long. Like it feels like it's
2016.
been like, yeah, I was gonna say it's had to have been like 2 years. Yeah, 'cause he has been out for a while, man. But allegedly, Cain Velasquez is back, and there's no tune-up fights, man. Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou is, I believe, pretty much the UFC on ESPN1 headline. So that's going down. And assuming, and like I said, I'm reserving my excitement for this fight. But assuming Cain can make that walk, that's going to be an interesting matchup. But Cain's an animal, man. Like that's crazy that after 2 years off, that's your comeback fight. But
from what I understand, he was in like negotiations with the UFC the whole like for most of like the back half of this year. So I'm assuming he asked for a certain amount of money, and the UFC's like, "Fine, we're gonna make you work for it, though."
Hey, gotta earn your keep. I mean, I get it because he's been, you know, he's.
Yeah, and like he hasn't been around. Like they paid him all this money, and you know he absconds to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, Cain Velasquez, Francis Ngannou. That's a wild heavyweight fight if that indeed happens. So that's definitely a way to set off the ESPN card. Moving down, another big fight announcement. Jose Aldo versus Renato Moicano going down on UFC on ESPN Plus 2 in Brazil. That's a really interesting, should be a really fun fight. Definitely looking forward to that one. Another fight that I don't believe is official, but it's in the works, and it seems like it's going to happen. Zabit Magomedsharipov. We'll get to see him again against Jeremy Stevens. That fight is in the works for UFC 235. So keep an eye out on that. That should be a really fun scrap if that does indeed happen. Joseph Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz also will be on the UFC on ESPN Plus 1 card. Aljamain Sterling and Jimmy Rivera will be running their fight back on the UFC on ESPN. Jimmy Crute versus Ryan Spann going down on UFC 234. Interesting fight. 2 young 205ers going at it. This next fight is the battle of 2 of the most unluckiest fighters I've ever seen in my life. Henan Barral and Luke Sanders going down on UFC on ESPN. I have no idea who to pick in that fight.
Catastrophe. Just like it's like a coin flip. It's just like who fucks up more.
Cause that God, I want to pick Luke so bad.
Like it's a fight Luke should probably win just by virtue of being less shot. He's been touched a couple times, but yeah, like I could also see Henan Barral just freaking catching him cold.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting fight. But that'll be on the UFC on ESPN card.
I'm kind of curious how the ESPN thing's gonna go, because it seems like I don't know like if this is the UFC, like okay, we have to put our best foot forward like we did with Fox at the beginning, or if this is like ESPN doing like card control, because if you watch any of their boxing, they don't really do card control there, or they haven't. So like I'm curious, because if the ESPN's like, no, you're gonna give us Cain Velasquez and Francis Ngannou, or like ESPN's like, hey, you can't just put I don't know who's the co-main event of UFC on ESPN plus one. Like if that's the case, that we're probably gonna get a bunch of really good like ESPN plus ESPN cards and a bunch of really watered down pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how how they're gonna shape a lot of these cards. Because with ESPN, I think you kind of have to bring like your best foot forward.
And it's not like the UFC doesn't have the depth to make every ESPN card great. It's the problem comes when like the UFC's like, oh, we're gonna do UFC on Fight Pass, and oh, we had to cancel a pay-per-view because we couldn't find another title fight, but we're still gonna do 12. We're just gonna jam 2 into the same month at the end of the year, like they've been doing now. But like, I don't think they're gonna be able to get away with having like Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich in the main event on ESPN Plus even. So, like, I think ESPN is gonna want high-ranked fighters, and it'll be interesting to see the UFC try to make that happen. So it'll be interesting. All I'm saying is, I don't know what I'm saying.
2019 will be another interesting chapter in this sport. Like we're moving on to the next season. You know,
ESPN is going to be like, this has to be a real sport, and then like 6 months in, they're going to be like, why are all these guys getting hurt or testing positive? And then they're stuck with like Jan Blachowicz, Jimmy Manuwa 3 as a main event on ESPN.
Oh man, they just shred the contract by the third card. They're like, listen, man, this isn't
like, this is ridiculous. This card started off with a lightweight title fight, and now Joe Proctor is fighting freaking Masaranduba in the co-main event. What happened?
We'll see, man. Next year's gonna be fun.
I feel bad. Every time I'm like, who's the nameless lightweight? I feel like I always go to Joe Proctor. I should be like Joe Proctor.
Shout out to Joe.
Yeah, if you're listening to the show, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's nothing personal.
But you gotta admit, I'm right.
Next fight, Mickey Gall continues. It's like every call out he wants, he gets. So Mickey Gall versus Diego Sanchez is going to be a thing at UFC 235.
It's almost like the matchmakers are like, hey, this is kind of a story. Let's put this fight together.
Yeah.
Maybe some of these other fighters should, learn.
Yeah. I mean, like at this point, I can't even be mad at Mickey. Like I think he's observing the game. He's seeing how it works, and it's, hey man, if you keep wanting shout outs and they just keep giving them to you, I mean,
why not?
Yeah, why not? Go pluck off an old guy. Even though Diego Sanchez did turn away the last youngin.
Fairness. What's his name was not exactly good.
He was decent. He was okay.
I forgot his name already.
I did too. I just remember he wears Goku shorts.
Craig White. There we go. Hey, we call Craig White like a youngin, but like he is 28, but he also has like 30 fights or something. He's also a god awful wrestler.
Yeah, Diego definitely big brodom. We'll see. We'll see if Mickey Gall can dispatch the old line, so to speak. Last fight announcement, at least for the UFC that I have, is Vicente Luque and Brian Barberena will be going down to the UFC Phoenix card on February 17th. Other UFC news, so this UFC 233 card is just kind of in shambles, so it's canceled now. So that's not a thing anymore. There were a lot of other fights I could have written down because since UFC 233 got canceled, they've pretty much been scattering all of those fights from that card and moving them to other cards. But it was way too many to keep up with. So just, if you go look at what was supposed to be on UFC 233, a lot of those fights are still happening. They've just been shuffled around to other cards. So some of them might end up in February, March, or whenever. It's a lot of them though. It was too many to really keep track of, but so just make note of that. A lot of the UFC 233 fights have just been shuffled to other cards. And the last fight announcement I have actually comes from Bellator. Andrei Koreshkov will be coming back against Lorenzo Larkin, and that will be going down at a Bellator event at March 29th. So that's pretty much all I got for fight news. Real quick, I guess, before we move on. How do you feel about the Aldo and Moicano fight?
I'm happy for Moicano. He wanted this fight like a lot. You could tell it was his call after he beat Qatar. I don't know. Like I like Aldo should win. I think he's got like a little bit more in the tank. I don't think Moicano presents the same problems that Holloway does, besides just being long. Like I don't think he has the pace, but he is a really good counterpuncher. Like so, it should be a good fun fight. It'll really tell us where Moicano's at. It'll tell us how much Aldo has left, and like, I don't know. Like what's interesting about that fight is that fight's in Brazil, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the UFC is going to Brazil, and the top two, the co-main and the main event, are Brazilian versus Brazilian fights, which is something they've kind of not been keen to do in the past because it's easier to get. I guess booking wise, from their perspective, it's always been easier to get Brazilian crowds more interested when a Brazilian is fighting a foreigner, because they have that nationalism to fall back on, but like. Here it's just like, okay, we're giving you two fights between Brazilians in the main event, so that'll be interesting.
As long as it results in violence, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
definitely all for it. No, I really like that matchup too. That's gonna be yeah, I think you're right. We'll see how much of Aldo is. I think Aldo has a little bit more left in the tank, I think, than some of us think. Like. I don't know if he has enough for like a title run, but I think he has at least bare minimum enough where he'll give you a fun fight night in and night out. He may not win them all, but I think he can still hang with some of the top guys.
The only guy I don't see him beating is Max Holloway. Like, I think he would beat Brian Ortega. His game is still complete enough to the point where I don't think Ortega is just going to be able to walk him down and then bait him into the snap down.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, he'll be able to. He can hang with those guys, and I don't know. I kind of want to see him still go to lightweight, but I don't know. I guess he keeps making weight. And there are some new featherweights emerging, so I guess I'm not really mad. There's still some fun fights for him regardless, wherever he goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for news and notes. Like I said, not really the busiest news week. So that said, we have a lot of fights to talk about. You know what? Actually, I didn't plan on starting with this fight first, but because I know you watched it and I did not. Talk to the people about this Canelo Rocky Fielding fight that I believe only went 3 rounds.
It went 3 rounds, and Rocky Fielding got knocked down like 4 times. All on body shots. Like, he kept looking to his corner, and his corner kept telling him to get up, but you could tell by the look at his face, he's like, are you guys going to do anything? Please call off the fight. Please throw in the towel. I give it to him. He went out there, he did his best, but like he just kept getting knocked down. Like Canelo would push him back along the ropes and just go to town on his body. And like Fielding is a fine 168 pounder, but he is no Caleb Smith. It's not Andre Ward back in the day. Like, if we're being honest, he probably shouldn't be having. Probably shouldn't have a title on him. And he probably wouldn't if it wasn't for Eddie Hearn. Like, so, yeah. But now Canelo's a three division champion, and he's probably has no. He's probably not sticking around at 168. He's probably going to go back to middleweight. This was just a way for him to make his debut on DAZN, get some like subscribers in before 2019 comes around, and we'll see him again in May. Hopefully against somebody a little bit more compelling.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I like I said, I watch boxing, but I don't keep up with it as closely as I do like MMA and other combat sports. So like, what is this really leading to for him? Like, who's the next person that should be in his crosshair?
All right, so the next person is the one everybody. It's the third Golovkin fight. That's what we all want. This is just some stuff I saw from some boxing journalists on Twitter, but apparently, Golden Boy Promotions and Tom Woffler, who is Gennady Golovkin's promoter, both have the coveted Cinco de Mayo weekend. That Saturday that booked for the same arena. And there's talk that Golovkin is really close to signing with DAZN as his primary destination. But talk has picked up that with ESPN and Showtime, and I'm wondering if he's just using that as leverage to get more money out of them. But yeah, that's the fight we all want. What it looks like they were doing is they were going to sub Canelo versus David Lemieux, but David Lemieux couldn't make weight. He was supposed to fight on the undercard on Saturday, and he could not make weight for his fight with God, I can never pronounce his name. Tornero Johnson, something like that. So the fight got called off. So that's probably out the window. If he wants to stick around at super middleweight, like Callum Smith is right there. Just won the World Boxing Super Series Super Middleweight Championship. There's that for him. Let's see. Just look at the rankings real quick. Joey told me that Oscar De La Hoya said no to the Danny Jacobs fight for May. And word is Danny Jacobs is signing with Eddie Hearn. So I'm thinking Eddie Hearn's going to take Danny Jacobs in like March or April to fill in one of his like 32 fight commitments for DAZN. I don't like Demetrius Andrade. Is a possibility he fights for DAZN. He fights on DAZN, I think. Or his last fight was on DAZN at least. Who else? Well, Rob Brandt just signed with ESPN in Top Rank, so that's probably out the window. So, like, yeah, it's the Golovkin fight, basically. That's what people want. That's what all his fights from now until the third one happens are going to build to. But it's also, like, I just found this out the other day. Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, was talking about how pay-per-view is dead, and in a year's time, like, nobody's going to be able to charge $75 to watch world-class fighters fight because, DAZN has Canelo and Anthony Joshua and shit. But he dropped this little nugget that Anthony Joshua actually has equity in DAZN. And for, like, again, DAZN isn't just boxing. It's also, like, soccer, the UFC in certain parts of the world. Like, they had football and it back for, like, foreign countries. Like, so Joshua's drawing money off of all that, too. So I'm thinking Canelo is also doing that. Like, they offer Canelo part of, like, stake in the company. And so that's just something I found really interesting.
Hey, man. other fight. Well, I don't know how. Probably got to be a pretty big fighter though. Not everybody can probably get that kind of. I don't know. Maybe get like that
absolutely. Like
opportunity.
they're not gonna go out here and they're not gonna go out here and offer like Alexander Usyk stock in the zone just because
just because you gotta get out of here.
But another thing, like the zone is a worldwide platform, not like HBO or Showtime or anything like that. It's not available in every country. I think it's only available in like 13, 14 or something. But like, I think the idea is, especially with Callum Smith, is they want to make Canelo an international star, which would be to his benefit. And I think that's part of the reason why they got they got Rocky Fielding, and from the UK to go fight MSG. How do I put this? The zone that isn't like available in the UK, which is where they're headquartered, which is really weird to me. But if they're going to break into like Mexico and they're going to break into the UK, they have all the tools to do it now. So it should be. We'll see what happens.
That's where your office is in the middle of the UK. Somebody walks by and like, "What's the zone?" Like, "Oh, this isn't for you."
Well, it's like ABA, like the International Boxing Association for amateur boxers. Like, they're not allowed in Switzerland, but they're not allowed to own a bank in Switzerland, like own a bank account in Switzerland, because the fucking president is a crime lord, like a Russian oligarch crime lord who's involved in like international grand larceny and like money laundering and crap and like the drug trade, and it's just like, what are you doing? You elected this man president, like the zone. You chose London. You could have chose one of the countries you actually have been. But whatever.
Yeah, so such is life. Such is life. But yeah.
Oh,
so
I should
Canelo,
also point this out because I saw it on Twitter and people were like repeating it. So Canelo signed the deal. It was like, was it $365 million over 10 years, over 10 fights or whatever. This was not part of that. It was, but like he didn't get $32 million to go beat up Rocky Fielding for 3 rounds. He got like 15, 16 million, which is probably still way too much, but for this, it was actually half of what it would have been. I think he just wanted to get into the fight in. So just putting that out there before we move on. So
easy money.
Yeah.
Well, so yep, that fight happened. Canelo beat the brakes off of Rocky. So we'll be covering about 4 cards today, partially. But since we're covering so many cards and like it's just impossible to get to everybody, we'll mostly just be talking about main cards. I'll give shout outs to prelim fighters as I see fit, or if I remember.
When we say we're mostly talking about like main card fights, we're talking about the ones we watched.
Yeah.
Watch all of them.
Yeah. So say some of these I didn't watch. I'll read the results of everything, but we'll just cover what we like actually saw.
Right.
So I'll start quickly with Invicta FC 33. Won't be able to cover a lot of this card because I was watching this the same time Bellator was on, and I couldn't divert my full attention to either. But either way, Invicta FC 33 went down last night. It was one of the cards that was on while everybody was seemingly simultaneously being head kicked and punched at the same time somewhere in the country. But this was headlined by a rematch of Jinyu Frey and Mina Grusander. Main event was actually pretty good. This fight was much more entertaining than the first one. There was blood flowing, I think, within like the first round. Grusander got like a nose or something busted. It was a nice back and forth scrap, pretty entertaining fight. I can't argue against the decision. They ended up giving it to Frey again. She won via split decision. Scorecards were 48-47, 48-47, and 47-48. But no, it was a close fight, back and forth on the feet, on the ground. I think they both made it a point to both just kind of pushed the pace more because in that first fight there wasn't like a ton really going on. So I think they both were really trying to assert themselves. They both had good moments. I believe they both hurt each other. But Jin Yu Frey retained her atomweight title in a split decision. So that was that fight. I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch that one?
I did not get the Grusander Frey fight. I did not watch the whole thing. It was kind of like in the middle of everything. I think the Bellator co-main event or main event has started. Canelo and Rocky were just getting started too, so I don't think I watched the whole thing. I did see them knock each other around. Like Frey seemed like she got hurt like multiple times early in that fight. So it looked like a good scrap.
Yeah, it was a good scrap. So if you got Fight Pass, go back and watch this card. It was pretty good. I'll read some of these results and I'll give shout outs as I see fit. Danielle Taylor, former UFC fighter, defeated Montserrat Ruiz via unanimous decision. Kate Hansen defeated Sharon Jacobson via submission armbar in round 3. That fight looked pretty fun, but like I said, something else was on while that was on. But go back and watch that fight. I remember that fight being pretty entertaining. A fight that I was really looking forward to, and I saw, but like I said, I was half dividing my attention because I had like 3 different screens up. Alicia Zapatella, who was a prospect that I've hyped on here before, she defeated Amber Brown via unanimous decision. I just remember there was a lot of wrestling. Like Zapatella, she's like 4'10", but she never stops moving. Like it's always forward pressure. I actually like that because I feel like a lot of fighters are small and like they fight like they don't know they're small. Like you can't be like 4'10" and trying to fight from the outside. Like it's just not gonna work.
How you gonna call out Danielle Taylor like that?
So, I appreciate the fact that Zapatella knows she's small, and probably any fight she gets in, she's not gonna have a reach advantage. She's not gonna have a size advantage, so she knows she needs to get in her opponent's face. So I just remember like a lot of takedowns and scrambles in that fight. It seemed like it was pretty entertaining. And Zapatella won unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. So shout out to her, somebody to keep an eye on in Invicta. Rounding out that main card was Brianna Van Buren defeating Jamie Moyle via unanimous decision. Also, I didn't get a chance to watch this one, but I heard Van Buren had a really good performance because this was.
Oh yeah, she was picking up and slamming Moyle like just domination.
Yeah, because the scorecards is 30-27 and a 30-26.
And it makes it all the more impressive that that Moyle came in like 10 pounds overweight. Like this fight was supposed to be a strawweight, and Jamie Moyle came in at 125 pounds.
Oh, that extra weight didn't help.
Nope. It just kind of showed that she didn't train for this fight.
Yeah. So that was the main card. I'll say because I want to do my shout out. That's one of the undercards, so I won't say the undercard. But that was Invicta FC 33. So go give that a watch if you have Fight Pass. Jin Yu Frey, Mina Grusander 2. Good card. Go watch the ladies throw down. Pretty entertaining card. Pretty sure this was their last one of the year. I think.
Yes.
I would assume. So, they finished out pretty strong. Nice card to end on, and they'll be back next year. Throwing down like they always do. So that was Invicta FC 33.
I wonder if we'll ever get Invicta boxing, which we were promised like 2 years ago.
Oh, that was supposed to be a thing. I don't know if they can. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't know if they can do it. I don't know. That mean they'd end up like one FC, like you just have a random boxing match.
Oh no, they were supposed to do like 2 separate promotions so that they could get these women more fights and like keep them get them more paychecks and stuff. But no, doesn't seem like it's gonna happen.
We'll see what the future holds next year. That would be a good platform for them, but yeah, I forgot that was supposed to be a thing. But moving on to Bellator 212. This card actually went down, I want to say Friday night. The anticipated rematch of a fight that I didn't think was ever going to happen. Brent Primus and Michael Chandler 2. I think this fight was rebooked like twice and it fell apart both times, something like that. But finally happened. We got it before the end of the year. It became a real thing. So the fight was it was entertaining but one-sided. It's kind of weird because Primus did a lot of things in the fight that I liked, but Lord, he could not defend takedowns to save his life. Like he was doing a lot of leg kicks in the first round that I thought were good. There were no bad nerve moments. He didn't have any of those, but like he was working his leg kicks a lot, and I wish that was something he would have kept doing. But I think he did get dropped in the first. Kind of crazy because Chandler was kind of just winging punches, man. Like Primus was trying to be sharp, and Chandler looked like he was just kind of out for blood. But he rocked Primus in the first. Second round, Primus did come back. He caught Chandler with a nice left hook that dropped him. But after that left hook, and I think like the little bit of ground and pound, he ended up getting reversed, and that was like Primus's last good moment, pretty much in that entire fight. Like I said, he was able to get off leg kicks, but that was pretty much it. Like Chandler was winging punches, catching them with power shots, and just takedowns. He was getting takedowns just at will, anytime he wanted. Just get a single leg, you're going down. Like there was no resistance, and he just kind of took Primus down and beat him up, and went on to a unanimous decision, and he is now 3-time Bellator lightweight champion. And I want to say this win he tied Patricio with most wins in Bellator, which I feel like, man, like this fight, the story is just writing itself. Like Patricio and Chandler needs to be a thing in 2019. Like they both have they're tied for the most wins. They're two of Bellator's like all-time greatest champions. We got to make this happen.
I mean, who else is Chandler gonna fight?
Right. And if you watch Patricio on Twitter, he is not shy. He called out a couple of people. He has some words from AJ McKee too, on after the McKee one. But yeah, man, Chandler and Patricio has to become a thing. Like, give the people what they deserve. But that was the main event. So yeah, I know you said you didn't get a chance to catch it, but yeah, it was just a one-side beatdown. Like the first 2 rounds were competitive. After that, Chandler going Chandler. So that's how that went down. Co-main event. Javi Ayala and Frank Mir.
This I did see.
Ooh, this you know what was wild? So I didn't watch any of this card in real time because I have to work early Saturday morning, so I can't.
I sadly did.
Yeah.
I was. So if Bellator pushed any of their fighters half as hard as they pushed the military, or what was it called? I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but MVP was the charity organization they were doing the salute for the salute for the troops show for. If they push any of their fighters half as hard as they push those 2 organizations, their ratings might not be shit. Like, this was a 4-hour show. There were only like 4 or 5 fights on the whole card, and one of them went like 3 minutes.
Oh boy, yeah. I heard you guys who watched live. Main event didn't start till about 1 in the morning. They definitely pulled like a FS1 card on Bellator, which is not a good look. Not a good look.
The worst part, like, oh my god, like these long profiles on like fighters, like not fighters, like people who were like in the military, and like then they came home and they had depression, so they started going to the gym, and eventually they opened their own gym, and then they were teaching other vets to not have depression. It was like, dude, this is a fight card. This isn't like the WWE. I don't need you to show me your like Make-A-Wish contributions. Like, I'm sure the troops want to see fights. They don't want to they don't need.
I was gonna say because the UFC does. Well, do they do those anymore? Because they used to do the fight for the troops.
They did, but they would highlight all some of these groups, and they would be they'd have all the fighters shoot promos thanking the military for the service and everything, but
yeah, theirs didn't run 8 hours.
Theirs was within
they fit the
they fit it around their actual programming. They didn't make it the fights felt incidental on the Bellator show. It was this is a military piece. It felt like I was watching Transformers again. It's just product placement and advertising.
Yeah, they didn't fit it around.
Also, we have a lightweight title fight on the card, on the show.
Well, I mean, luckily, it's probably easier for me to say this because I didn't watch it in real time. Luckily, the fights were entertaining because I think it would have been worse had this went till 1:30 in the morning and these fights been trash.
Yeah, it wasn't very entertaining if you're a Frank Mir fan.
You know what?
Especially if you're his daughter, who was sitting cage side.
Yeah. But you know what though, and I'll say this because I saw the highlight of this fight. I literally just saw the finish, and I didn't rewatch the full fight until this morning. But when I saw the highlight, in my mind I was like, oh, Frank Mir must have got mauled this fight because I saw all that blood on his face, and I was like, oh, this must have been terrible. And then I watched the fight and I was like, he didn't look half bad to me. For as old as he is, he looked decent, at least in the first round and about a quarter of the second. I mean, first round he's bouncing around. He's being Frank Mir. He gets a takedown. He was in pretty good control up from what I remember most of the first round, and then the second round was somewhat more the same, maybe about a quarter in, and then things kind of went left. I think it was an elbow that opened him up.
Yeah. And
he just never, all that blood just started flowing, and it's he never really recovered from it. And I mean, props to Ayala because he got caught in some bad spots on the ground with Mir, and he managed to get back up, and he just started letting elbows go. He started doing work in the clinch, and next thing I know, Mir's face is just, blood is flowing everywhere. It's not looking too good. I didn't even notice that he lost his mouthpiece. I don't know what part of the fight that happened in, but because when he got KO'd, he did not have his mouthpiece in, and he was holding his teeth like he thought he lost something.
He just swallowed it.
So I'm assuming his mouthpiece went over yonder at some point. But nah, yeah, man, he got, that's rough. Your daughter's in your corner, and he got battered in that second round, man.
You see, I wanted it to be a teaching moment where after he subs along the fence, after he taps along the fence and strikes, he kind of just turns to his daughter, is is this the life you want? Because
you know what,
the whole reason she was there is because he's she's a linebacker for her high school. And she's a tomboy and she wants to be a pro fighter. And I brought her along just to show her what the chaos of being a pro fighter is like. And it was damn, I feel like you could have taught this lesson without almost dying.
She saw the worst of the worst.
It was worse than Amber Brown's daughter, because she was there for her fight. And you could hear her screaming for her mother to get up.
Yeah, it was.
Mind you, Amber Brown's daughter's 8.
I mean, at least for Mir, she saw him. He had moments. At least he didn't completely get mauled. She saw him be good for some portion of the fight.
Yeah.
Until he wasn't.
It wasn't like Coleman getting his face beat in by Fedor.
Yeah, it could have been worse
in front of his kids.
But you know what? I'll give Mir props though.
Imagine I'm glad Frank brings his teenage daughter into the cage. Is hey, kid, this is Javier Ayala. And she forces him to shake his hand.
I was gonna say she tries to roundhouse kick him. But, Once upon a time, a couple years ago, like I hated Frank Mir, and I probably would have made fun of him for this fight. But I don't hate Frank Mir anymore, so I'm not gonna bash him. And I gave him props for tapping the strikes, because I just seeing the old guys get beat up, like it just. I'm glad you got out of there. I'm glad you did not try to tough that out and then drag on a fight that probably didn't need to go on any longer.
Frank Mir seems like the type of guy to realize that once the bell rings, he's getting his paycheck no matter what. So,
because like had that fight kept going on, that could have gotten worse.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was not getting any better anytime soon.
Yeah, so I'm glad he knew his own strength. Get out of there, man. Your daughter doesn't need to see. She saw enough at that point. That was more than enough. But I mean, on the other hand, man, props to Ayala. You got. I think everybody wants like that big veteran win on their record.
And he's got 2 of them now. Because he beat Sergey Karatasana.
Oh yeah, he did.
So he's just going through all the old dudes. So like Javier Ayala versus Fedor. Let's go.
So shout out to Javi. That's a big win. And like I said, way to come back. 'Cause like I said, in that first round, he was getting taken down and getting put in bad spots. And he found a way to get out. He starts blasting elbows, and he pretty much turned the tide of the fight. So, props to him. He won via submission to strikes in round 2. Moving on, AJ McKee, Daniel Crawford. I want to say Crawford was a champ in another organization, but I cannot remember which one.
Was it Bama?
That's even true. I think it was Bama. I don't remember a ton of this fight other than clinch work against the fence. I think Crawford went for a ride. He got slammed, and then he ended up catching an anaconda choke for his troubles. Fight didn't last that long anyway. He got choked out in round 1.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not talk about really at all. Like McKee got another layup coming off a fight where he actually won against somebody like really impressive. So step in the wrong direction, but he's 23. What are you gonna do? Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Pitbull had some words for him on Twitter after this fight.
Well, Pitbull was upset that they were advertising like McKee as having like the longest streak ever, but in the same token, like you figure like the first 7, 8, 9 fights of your career are always going to be against like trash opponents because you're like on the regional scene. But McKee's been fighting in Bellator since he became a pro fighter, so kind of evens out, you know?
Yeah. On that same token, though, do you want to see a step up now?
Yes. Dude, like, why not? McKee versus Pitbull. Like, who else is there?
We'll get no argument from me.
I'm actually trying to think about it now. Like, I don't know what Strauss is up to. Don't need to see like a 5th or 6th fight between those two. Daniel Weichel's lost twice now. I don't even know if Pat Curran's still fighting. Like, I have no idea what's up with him. Like, my mind is completely blank.
Well, that fight was booked, right, at one point, and Curran was booked for some fight.
Curran hasn't fought since 2017.
I swear he was booked for a fight like this year, and I thought it was against McKee, and he had to pull out.
He was supposed to fight McKee.
Yeah, I still would like to see that fight, but yeah, like you said, yeah, Curran at this point he's kind of war torn.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Sanchez is probably going to need, well, not probably, he's going to need a few bounce back fights before he fights for a title again. Yeah, I don't like.
I mean, you know what though? Because
it's either Pitbull or it's like Sam Cecilia, and I don't think anybody cares to see him fight Sam Cecilia. So
this sets up the Chandler Pitbull fight even more, because now it's like Chandler gets the Primus monkey off his back, and it's not like it was a close fight.
Right.
He kind of dominated. Do McKee and Pitbull. You give your young guy a chance to see if he can really pull it off. If he can pull off the big one. Pitbull sends him back down. They've both pretty much wiped out their division like 2 times over. You know, this like like I said, Chandler Pitbull it keeps writing itself. So maybe that'll happen. But either way, AJ McKee defeated Daniel Crawford via Anaconda choke in the first round. Moving on, this fight you'll have to talk about because I was stupid and forgot that this was on the main card, so I did not rewatch it, and I feel dumb. But talk about the Juliana Velasquez and Alejandra Lara fight.
Velasquez looks like a legit flyweight prospect, and Alejandra Lara she showed a pretty really good account of herself. Like she fought hard all 3 rounds. She never stopped moving. She landed like some really nice kicks, the strike combinations actually, but like Velasquez was just like the better grappler. She was in I don't know if she ever made the Olympics, but she was a national team judo Brazilian team member. So she was on like the national team. She competed in international competitions with them. But we're really like, and she has a very Muay Thai style fight. She's like a very Muay Thai style fighter. She likes to march down behind the guard, but like she has a really good understanding of distance, and like shot placement. So like she was really tearing into Lara's body. That's actually how she knocked out Rebecca Ruth in her last fight. Just never got. Despite being the judoka, she never got she was never just winging punches in hopes of like grabbing on and going for a takedown. She kept her distance. Was really like. She was really accurate, which surprised me. When she committed with the right hand, she normally would land. And it was a really good fight. It's probably the best fight. I can't say this for sure. It was probably the best fight in the card. Maybe others preferred like Cecilia Campos, but no, like Velasquez looks like a real. I wouldn't say contender, but like she's obviously next in line for title. Like she looks like a legit blue chip flyweight prospect.
Well, I'll have to go back and peep that since I missed out. But shout outs to Velasquez. She won via split decision. And rounding out this main card was Sam Cecilia and Derek Campos. If you want a nice rock'em sock'em robot back and forth fight, this will give you your fix. Yeah, they both pretty much just came out and threw hands. Cecilia was doing really good in like the first half of the fight. Like he was landing a lot of good combinations, a lot of power shots, uppercuts, all that good stuff. I felt like he started the gas later in the fight, and Campos started to pour it on a bit more. But I think on Campos' case, it was kind of one of those too little, too late kind of deals. But no, it was a really good fight. Both dudes just winging back and forth, just kind of throwing. I want to say, if I remember correctly, Campos. I remember if he got a takedown later in the fight.
I believe so.
I think he started because Cecilia wasn't going for any takedowns. He was just throwing hands.
Yeah. So words are wise. Like if somebody's hitting you repeatedly with uppercuts, like straight up the middle, don't go to like a high guard where you have your hands on your forehead and your elbows out and you're trying to like block punches like as if they were teeing off on your head. Like it's an uppercut. He's coming up the middle of your guard. Like just move. Like I'm not trying to make it sound simpler than it is. Like timing and all that other stuff, but like covering up is probably the worst thing you could do. So move, like just disengage, figure some things out, and come back.
I think Campos could have won if he would have started working those takedowns earlier. Like I think when he realized the whole rock'em sock'em robot approach wasn't going to work, he started to mix it up. But it was kind of too little, too late. But regardless, it was a really fun fight. Definitely go back and watch that one. And quick shout outs on the undercard. Taiwan Claxton was on the undercard, and he pretty much bullied what's this gentleman's name, K.O. Meyer. All I remember this fight is like once he took him down, he just landed ground and pound, and dude just kind of curled up. Taiwan Claxton won TKO in round 1. So he's always somebody to keep an eye on in Bellator. He's had a pretty good streak going, and all of his fights seem to be pretty exciting. So shout out to Taiwan Claxton and Robson Gracie. I don't know how Bellator has all of these Gracies. I didn't even know he was here.
Right, because of Royce's relationship with them, probably.
Yeah, they snag every single one of them. But Robson Gracie won via rear naked choke against Bryson Bolohayo in round 2.
I mean, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu's back, bro. Did you catch Bellator 213?
Yeah, so let's just move on to that. But that was Bellator 212. If you have the Zone, you can watch it on the Zone. They have the full card up. So go give it a look, man. It was a lot of good fights. And if you like me, you didn't watch this in real time, so you didn't have to stay up till 1:30. So it was actually a pretty fun watch. Like, all of the fights were pretty entertaining. So that was Bellator 212. Moving on. Bellator 213. Bellator's second card in 2 days. This was on Saturday night. This card was a pretty big deal. Bellator making it to Hawaii. UFC hasn't been to Hawaii yet, have they?
I mean, they were way back in the day, I think. Remember the last time they...
I can't remember if they were. I thought they weren't. I don't think they ever went.
I could have sworn they went for like one card, but whatever. I think you're right.
So Bellator had their big card in Hawaii and the Blaisdell Arena in Honolulu. Big deal because it was headlined by Hawaiian. You had ilima-lei McFarlane defending her strap against Valerie Letourneau for the flyweight title. And yeah, we'll just run this from the top. I felt like the first round, not really a ton happened. It's kind of like a feeling out kind of thing. Not really too much went on in the first. Second round, McFarlane was, I believe she had went for a takedown. She landed a little ground and pound. Valerie was kind of playing the outside. They both were throwing shots, but nobody really landed anything like crazy substantial. I just felt like the first half of this fight was, you were just kind of waiting for somebody to like have a moment. It was like they were both kind of, I don't know, like getting their feet wet. Like, I don't know, probably for McFarlane, like, this was a really big moment. Like, I mean, if you saw her walk down, man, she had the whole, well, I don't know what that was, but I'm assuming it was some kind of Hawaiian cultural dance or something. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't know what it was, but she had like a very elaborate intro, and she had like all of her family there. Like, this was a really, really big deal for her. And especially like it being in her hometown, so I could imagine nerves were probably through the roof. But yeah, first 2 rounds, what not really a ton happened. You were just kind of waiting for one person to really kind of assert themselves because nobody landed anything too crazy. And then in that third round, McFarlane, I think, kind of, feet are under me now. I'm here. Let's do this. And she starts pushing forward more, aggressively goes for takedown. She gets a takedown. Letourneau is, holding her own, but playing the ground game with McFarlane can, more often than not, probably not go in your favor. And boy, the finish was wild, man, because she went from like a triangle. Well, hold on. I think didn't start with a triangle, I think. I feel like she tried like another choke first, and then it ended up a triangle.
Yeah, she went for the armbar.
Yeah, then she went for an armbar, and then she was throwing elbows at the same time. And then she switched back to a triangle while still throwing elbows. She was transitioning between submissions and throwing elbows all at the same time. It was just really wild to watch.
Well, yeah.
Like, it was a lot going on.
Well, it started from her on Letourneau's back, going for the rear naked choke, then climbing up her back for the triangle, switching to the armbar, and then going back to the triangle.
Yeah.
So.
And it all happened within like the span of
30 seconds.
I don't know. Yeah, about 30 seconds. It was just a lot of switching back and forth and elbows going on. It was a wild time. The crowd was going crazy, but she ends up getting the triangle choke in round 3. and she wins a fight that was a pretty big deal for her. So it was awesome to see her get that win, like in front of her hometown, in front of this this crowd who's going crazy, all her family there. So I feel like that night would have really sucked if they would have gave you that big elaborate intro all in front of your fans and all in Hawaii, and then you like would have got knocked out or something like that. But nah, McFarlane, man, she went in there and did her thing, and it was pretty awesome to watch. I can't remember. Did you see this fight or not?
Yes. I just watched it as we were talking before. Yeah, it was a really good performance from Letourneau. Not Letourneau. From McFarlane. Go out there, biggest stage of your career, and like all this home pressure on you, and you really put it together. A solid performance, and she beat Letourneau by submission. I don't think Letourneau was she. Yeah, this is the first time she's been submitted. First time she's been stopped since, well, I guess the Calderwood fight, but that was a little weird. Because of the way that unfolded with like her bra like falling off and her like turning away to fix it, and then the ref saying that that's enough. Yeah, no, altogether solid performance from McFarlane. Like, she's probably gonna get Juliana Velasquez next. I really hope she does like well, like as the champion. Like, I hope that the DAZN card, like, because this was exclusively on DAZN. It wasn't on Paramount or anything like that. I'm hoping it did like good numbers with like the Canelo fight, and they did a little bit of advertisement at the beginning of the night, but it got buried underneath everything Canelo, starting at like 10 o'clock. So, yeah. Well, shouts to McFarlane, one of the good people in MMA that doesn't get talked about enough. Out here starting scholarships for like native girls in Hawaii and Central America.
It would be good to see if they give her. I kind of feel like they want to. Like, she could become one of those faces of Bellator.
This card happened because of her.
Yeah.
So, can't say the same for Max Holloway. He's fighting in Toronto.
Lord. But yeah, shout outs to McFarlane, man. Hawaii, out here representing, out here holding it down. And yeah, it would be dope if Bellator can give her, like I said, this could be a good springboard that hopefully she can pretty much like become one of the faces of Bellator and hopefully keep that title for a while. But ilima-lei McFarlane,
3 o'clock.
Triangle choke over Valerie Letourneau. So that's how that went. Co-main event. The Dragon, Lyoto Machida, makes his Bellator debut against former middleweight champ Rafael Carvalho. Pretty fun fight. I was impressed that they both were able to kind of keep the pace that they set. Well, probably more so on Machida's part. Carvalho's the younger guy. I didn't realize Machida was 40.
Yeah, he's old.
I don't know why I thought Machida was like.
It explains why he looks like he's failing at everything nowadays.
I thought he was like 36 or something. Did not know he was 40. But nah, Carvalho came out. He really was putting the pressure on him. I think his game plan was pretty much to not let Machida get too comfortable, because when Machida gets comfortable, you get hit with a front kick, you get hit with a crane kick, or you catch one of those counters, and your night's pretty much over, and you end up on a highlight reel somewhere. So Carvalho came out, man. He was really putting the pressure on him. Lots of forward movement, work against the cage. Machida can still move, but I think it's kind of like the Anderson effect, where like he still tries to do what he normally does, but like he's just not as like fast and like as mobile anymore. So like just it seems like some of his old tricks aren't as like effective, because I felt like he didn't counter in this fight as well as we've seen him do before.
Right.
In the past, so
it makes it look sloppy.
Yeah.
Because so much of their games are built around like all this, like mostly just pot shotting. Like obviously no combinations, but especially like Machida, but it's never anything like I guess the close like a John Lineker or Nate Diaz combination. You know what I mean? Where they're
Yeah.
throwing like these six, like it's always like 2 or 3 shots max, and it's always like at the safest possible time for them, and now there's like that extra hint of desperation that comes from just being old and just not being able to move as quickly as he used to be able to, and it looks a lot like flailing.
It's kind of funny we say all that, but Machida won a split decision.
I mean, yeah, yeah, no, don't get me wrong, like solid win for Machida, especially at 40 and moving to a new promotion, but at the same time, like, does this make you want to see him fight Gegard Mousasi?
Yeah, I think I did. Did I score this for Carvalho? I don't remember who I scored this for. But I can say one thing that Carvalho didn't do himself, and I get that he wanted to clinch with him to, I guess, like kind of wear him down. But Machida got, I can't remember if it was the second or third, it may have been both, where he got takedowns on Carvalho, and even though he didn't do a ton with him, he was just kind of able to control him. And in that span of time, Carvalho's not able to mount any offense. So I'm guessing that's probably why he slipped on the cards. And Machida landed a nice. He didn't land it flush. He had a nice head kick that didn't land flush, but you could still it kind of. It was something there. It's a little sting on it. But no, it was still a fun fight. At 40 years old, Machida's still out here. But like I said, yeah, I don't know if this makes me really want to see Mousasi fight, but the way Bellator works, the way that division is, that fight probably isn't too far off, so that might still end up being a thing. But hey, man, props to Machida. The Dragon's still out here at 40 years old, making his Bellator debut, and got a solid split decision win over Carvalho. So shouts to him. Next fight. Oh man, the Gracies. They never die. They never go away.
Even Gracie, greatest Gracie since Kron Gracie.
But Kron Gracie was the latest Gracie.
Exactly.
The last podcast. But Neiman Gracie, man, he fought against Ed Ruth.
Three-time NCAA champion Ed Ruth, and he submitted him.
Yeah.
Proving once and for all, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu better than everything.
Yeah, I knew this was gonna be an interesting fight because I think these are like the two dark horses in this whole welterweight tournament. And these are the two young guys who are looking to really make a name for themselves, because everybody else in the tournament is pretty much established like as a fighter, and they have pretty successful careers, and Ed Ruth and Neiman are still kind of green, getting their feet wet, so to speak. But nah, man, props to Neiman. Stand up look a lot better than I thought it would. Really, yeah, pretty solid kickboxing. Ed Ruth trying to
a lot of flailing. Like there were times where Ed Ruth looked like he was about to fall over because of the punches he was throwing.
To me, Ed Ruth's striking looked like it looked like he'd been really working on it in the gym, and now he was like trying to try out everything, and it just wasn't really. Man, I think he landed a couple of shots, but I don't know. Like Ed Ruth's game plan kind of. I don't know. I was a little befuddled. I understand NCAA, wrestling pedigrees, it is what it is, through the roof, solidified. But like that first ground exchange where they get on the ground and Gracie is immediately going for triangles. He's going for any submission he can get. And it just looks like one of those situations where, like, I understand your wrestling pedigree and that you probably just want to get top game and then pummel him and beat him up. But he's not a guy who just kind of sits out and camps on his back. And he was getting Ruth in so many dangerous positions. And I was like, I almost felt like Ruth would have just been, he could have played it safer and just tried to just make this a striking exchange. Like, even though Gracie's striking was, it was a lot more solid than I think people thought it would be, you probably would have had a better chance. Because when they went to the ground, boy, he was making Ed Ruth work and get out of a lot of bad spots. And eventually he could not get out of a bad spot. And in round 4, he got choked out for it.
Yeah. So like, I didn't put too much thought into, like, having Ed Ruth in the tournament. I think my only thing I said was, like, he probably is going to win, which, he definitely isn't now. So, but, like, maybe having your prospect, your blue chipper with, like, the pedigree and the big college connections and all that good stuff. Maybe having him fight in his 7th pro fight in a 5-rounder against a guy who, like 2 years into his career, probably not the smartest idea, especially against a guy who is comfortable in like what would normally be Ruth's like one safety place. Just a thought.
Too late for that.
Yeah. Now Neiman Gracie is one broken Rory McDonald away from a Bellator title, because the Bellator title is going to be up for grabs if he wins. Or no matter.
Well, it's up for grabs regardless.
Yeah, because he's going to fight either John Fitch or Rory McDonald, and if Rory he could beat Fitch possibly. Like, John Fitch isn't who he used to be. And he's going to have 15 minutes or he's going to have 25 minutes to fight him.
Yep.
So, we're in crazy times. A Gracie might be a major champion.
It's possible. It's possible. Or he'll at least get a chance. He'll get the fight for it, which, as of late, we haven't seen any Gracies even fight for a title.
How dare you?
And
Roger Gracie was the light heavyweight champion over in 1, which is like when freaking Overeem was the heavyweight champion in Dream. It's just like, dude, they brought in Todd Duffy to feed you. Who are you trying to kid?
You know what though? I'm probably the outlier, because I saw the same complaint about Ed Ruth being in the tournament. And I guess the one reason that I wasn't mad at it, because between him and Neiman, those were the 2 names I looked at, and I was like, well, at least these aren't the same 5 guys that we've seen fight each other 30 times already. And I was like, at worst, all right, your prospect loses. Better learn now than later, I guess. Like, at least now we know for sure. Like, all right, he definitely still needs some more work. Hopefully he knows now, like, he'll grow, he'll get smarter from this. I don't know. I wasn't too mad at him being in the tournament. I guess because I just wanted to see a fresh face. Like,
I mean, it's better than him getting knocked out by Paul Daly, I guess.
Right. Because we all, if you've been watching Bellator like since the beginning, we all remember how, in the Bjorn era, the tournament era, like, the tournaments were fun, but we were always seeing like the same 4 people. So I was just happy to get some new fresh faces in there, albeit it didn't go the way he wanted it to. But, I don't think it's like a career ender. Like, you can go back to the drawing board. You hopefully realize not to toy with a Gracie on the ground. Hopefully that is
or at the very least, be comfortable on the ground to toy around with the Gracie.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Because it seemed pretty obvious that Ruth had, like, very little actual BJJ, like, not training, but, like, know-how.
No, he was in survival mode when he was down there. Yeah, it wasn't looking too good. But nah, man, props to Neiman though. Like, you beat the blue chip prospect, and that's a big win. And like you said, on his side of the bracket, if Fitch can somehow gut out a win over Rory, it's not far fetched that somehow Neiman Gracie becomes champ. That's a possibility.
I mean,
it's not a high percentage, but it.
He could go out there and like catch a broken Rory and just like hit him in it. Like Rory McDonald's like one hit to the nose away from just completely shutting down.
Yeah, catch him in the nose, rock him, maybe take his back.
Like I don't even think you have to hurt him. Just like hit him with a hard jab. Like I think he might mentally shut down.
I don't know. Well, we'll see. That'll be wild. The final of this tournament is a Gracie, and he's holding the belt. But I feel like that's so Bellator. Like that's how this year would end for them. That's the season finale. Gracie's holding the belt. But nah, man. But props to Neiman Gracie, man. Really good performance over Ed Ruth. Got the rear naked choke in round 4. Next fight, Liam McGeary versus King Mo. Man, I was really just happy that McGeary got a win. I really like McGeary, but he's been on a 2-fight skid. Hasn't been looking too good for him as of late. And boy, oh boy, did King Mo just do him a lot of favors in this fight, I thought. I'll give King Mo credit. He landed a lot of leg kicks, and boy, did McGeary's leg, he was growing another leg on top of his leg with the way it was swollen. It was not, that was a really nasty hematoma on his leg. But outside of the leg kicks, I don't know, King Mo just kind of has this thing where he, like I get it, he thinks he's a boxer. He trains in boxing a lot. And he tries to implement that into his MMA game. But I feel like he tries to like primarily become a boxer. And he just kind of abandons his wrestling. And he kind of played into everything that McGeary was good at. it just didn't work. Like, I don't think King Mo didn't go for a takedown until like, I think it was like the last 30 seconds of like round 2, and McGeary ended up getting back up. But no, I like McGeary, man. He was, trying to be mobile, even though he ate a lot of leg kicks. Pumping his jab, working good combinations. He looked pretty confident. This is probably the best McGeary performance we've seen in a while. Like, he looked really sure of himself. He looked like a guy who, like, really, really wanted this win.
This is better than the one who beat Emmanuel Newton.
Yeah. Like, this guy looks like he's ready. Like, he was out there landing a lot of good shots when, like I said, and King Mo did him all the favors in the world because he just wanted to stand with him. So he gave McGeary every chance in the world to just pump the jab, land good strikes, get your hands off. And then in that third round, cracks King Mo with a right hand. King Mo does the one thing you should never do in a fight. He gets cracked with a right hand. He almost gets cracked with another one, but he kind of falls. And McGeary throws a right hand to a left head kick combination. The head kick looked like it was going to land, but it didn't, or maybe at least it grazed him. And I guess King Mo thought he was being kicked while, like, I don't know. I guess he thought it was, like, illegal. I don't know what he thought. But he starts yelling at the ref and then gets punched in the face again. And then that's over. Like, don't yell at the ref while you're falling mid-flight. It's not going to work out too good. But nah, McGeary looked really good, man. Really confident out there. Gets the KO in the third round, and he looks reinvigorated. That looks like a man who he's riding the ship after a 2-fight skid.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to that, but King Mo, man, like, knocked out in what 3 or 4 of his last 5 or 6. Let me get the exacts right quick. So he's lost 4 of his last 6. Got knocked out in 3 of them. Got knocked down in 4 of them. Like, his only recent wins are Satoshi Ishii and Quentin Jackson. So, I mean, all fairness, like, Phil Davis, Mirko Cro Cop, Ryan Bader, not bad losses by any stretch, but, like, the way he's lost in some of those fights.
Yeah, not
15-second knockouts of Ryan Bader.
Good. And I felt like that fight could have easily been, I'll press you with my boxing until I just take you down, and make it just be one of those really frustrating fights. Like, I feel like this fight was tailor made for that, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. I think he was actually worried about the ground game, like, because that's McGarry for as hard as he hits. Like he got to the title on his back basically. He was like, "Oh, this is the guy who inverted triangled Tito Ortiz and basically he beat Matt Newton like by just like submission grappling." So it kind of made sense from that angle where he's like, okay, I don't want to go to the ground with this guy because that means I have to work real hard for 15 minutes. I'm going to just box him up. But he didn't realize that, Lee McGarry's like 6'6" and can hit him with his long-ass limbs. So.
All right. Well, life happens fast, so.
Right.
But props to McGarry, man. Getting his win streak back on, getting back on the right track. So that was pretty awesome to see. And rounding out the main card, which is a fight neither one of us saw, Nainoa Dung defeated Kona Oliveira via TKO at round 3. But I forgot this fight was a main card, so I didn't watch it. And then I realized it was a main card. And I was like, oh, I did not see that. But shout outs to Nainoa Dung. But overall, man, Bellator had a pretty solid weekend. Like, these were 2 cards in 2 days. Both cards, at least in terms of the main card, I would say delivered. Not really any fights like I didn't like. I was entertained pretty much watching both cards. And in a weekend where they had to compete with the UFC and there was a lot going on, they still managed to stand out, I thought. So, pretty strong way, I say, to end 2018, and we'll see what Coker and company has going on next year. Like I said, I will repeat this many times. I hope Chandler Pitbull ends up being one of those things, but
We know for sure Fedor Ryan Bader is one of those things.
Yeah. Oh, that is gonna be oh my god. I think that's late January. I think
26.
Yeah. That's Lord. That is gonna be an interesting card.
I mean, no matter what, it ends up being sad because Fedor either wins and he has to fight Vitaly Minakov, or he loses and it's just sad.
Yeah. Lord, we'll see. But no, shout out to Bellator, man. Two good cards over the course of 2 days, and like I said, the Hawaii card just was a really big deal, and it probably went the best way it could have, at least in terms of that main event. You hopefully have a star in your hands with McFarlane. But shout out to Bellator. So if you want to watch those cards, if you have DAZN, go log on DAZN. It's worth it, man. Lot of other promotions on there. It seems like they're going in the right step. So shout out to Bellator 212 and 213, both 2 good cards. So go give those a look.
Let's see what they have going on next weekend. Nothing. Oh yeah, it's Christmas.
Yeah, no, yeah. Everybody's shutting down.
I just need.
But I think like they had like a Road FC card within like the last week. I think.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had a Road FC. That's all them pop up on my timeline.
All I know is I need them to pick up Ryzen so I don't have to pay $20 just to see it every single time.
Man, if they get Ryzen, that would be.
I mean, what more do you need?
Yeah, I'm about to say they've got pretty much. You got Bellator, you got Road FC, you got KSW.
You got half the top 10 pound for pound boxers on the planet.
Yeah, they're in a pretty good space. I would like the site to be better though. With the app.
Yeah.
I think the app needs some work.
Yeah. It could at the very least list the freaking fights that are going to be shown on the card.
Right. Because they like, I went to watch the fights this morning and it just says Bellator full card replay. And you click on it and you have to watch all 56 minutes.
Oh, well, they got the Bellator Hawaii card up now in segments.
There we go.
So
It's like they put them up there, but it takes like a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's like they'll only do like Bellator 213, Lalo McGeary replay, the wall. Why did I say it like that? Oliveira Dung replay. Like they could have the full name and just be like full fight.
Yeah, but well, we'll see. Hopefully in 2019, so somewhere in the budget, we can fix the kinks on the site and the app. But either way, two good guards from Bellator, and to finish off the weekend.
Also, I feel like baseball. They have baseball.
MLB?
Yes. I'm assuming it's out of market game, so.
Nah. So what team nobody cares about?
Basically.
The Marlins.
I have their upcoming schedule thing. DAZN exclusive. MVP versus Daly. There we go.
There we go.
McDonald versus Fitch, March 2019.
When's MVP and Daly?
February 16th.
It's going to be fun. Hopefully nobody pulls out. Hintity hint. Wink wink.
It's going to be MVP. Can't wait for Lorenzo Arkin Daly too.
Moving on. Of course, to round out all the fights that happen, the UFC has to insert themselves into the mix. So we had the very last, man. Everybody's ending their relationships, man. We love HBO boxing's gone, and this is the last UFC on Fox card, headlined by Kevin Lee and Al Iaquinta. This is the rematch.
The ONE FC app doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't?
I mean, it won't coming January.
Oh, yeah, man. Real quick before we even get started on this, because we're doing really good on time. So somebody posted on Twitter, like, because they were showing, like, flashbacks of, like, the first UFC on Fox card, the JDS and Velasquez. And I was seeing people post, like, oh, I was only so-and-so years old when the JDS and Velasquez fight happened. I'm like, dog, I was watching this when it was on Spike. Like, I was like 12. I didn't realize how long I've been watching this sport. Like, what have I been doing to myself?
You got a whole generation of fans who you just can't call new fans anymore because, like, it's been 7 years.
Jesus Christ. It's crazy. Because the Fox seems so long ago, but then I thought about it. I was like, dude, I was watching this on Spike.
Yeah.
And that was even longer ago.
I mean, it was only, like, slightly longer ago.
It seems like ages. Those seem like two totally different eras and worlds. Like, oh man, but yeah, man. The Fox is this is the end of the road. No more. What's that theme song? Isn't
it just basically the football theme song?
Yeah, it literally is the same theme song. They didn't even change it. I hated it when it first started. I did not like it. Now I'm just kind of indifferent to it.
Now we're just gonna get the dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
But UFC on Fox, Lee versus Iaquinta 2, last UFC on Fox.
What a weird fight to make the last UFC on Fox card. It's just like we have to throw some fights together.
Yeah.
And they were like, let's get all the lightweights and just put them on Fox and be like, okay, this is what we got.
Hey, man, you know what? I posted this on Twitter. If you want a good card, man, just book lightweights, and the rest will handle itself.
Exactly.
They'll handle itself.
Because every lightweight fight on this card was great.
Right. All of them. And I'll just say, man, the one thing I'll miss about Fox, 4-fight main cards are near and dear to my heart.
Apparently the ESPN cards will be on at 8:00, and they will be 4-fight main cards, from what I've read. I don't know that for sure.
Prayer hands emoji. Thank you. I hope that's true, because if not, man, that is the one thing I will miss about Fox. Love the 4-fight main cards. But anywho, moving on. UFC on Fox. Lee vs Iaquinta 2. Man, thoughts on this main event? Al
Iaquinta is hella underrated.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I gotta put some respect on this man's name after this
The
performance.
raging real estate agent got hands, bro.
It'd be bruh. Man, selling houses by day, throwing hands by night, closing deals by midnight. Iaquinta's winning, man. Yeah, I gotta put some respect on this man's name after this fight, cause coming into this, I'm not gonna lie, like I was more excited for the co-main than the main event. Um, I didn't really care. This wasn't a rematch that I was like really like, oh man, I can't wait for these two to fight again. To be honest, I didn't care. I did not want to see this rematch. I was kind of just eh. And then when it got booked, I was like, oh man, Lee's gotten way better since then. Not saying he was gonna walk through Iaquinta because I feel like I was always a tough out, but I thought Lee would win this pretty handedly. And Al had other plans, man. Real estate agent came with that right hand ready to go. Lee started off good. It was definitely clear who was the stronger fighter. Lee, that takedown that he got on Iaquinta in the second round, boy, he big broed him to the like he took him to the ground like it was nothing. So it was clearly that Lee was the stronger fighter. He was doing decent, I thought, in the first. Jab was working. He had pretty good combinations. He was throwing that front kick. But I think what happened, I know a lot of people probably felt some kind of way about the decision. But I know this is more rewatching the fight, man. Lee spent a lot of time on the outside. And he also didn't, I'm not going to say he didn't inflict damage, because he definitely caught Iaquinta with some good shots. But it just felt like the longer the fight went, it was like the Max Holloway effect for Iaquinta, that like he just got stronger the longer the fight went. And by like that third round, that right hand was just money. He was props to his corner. Matt Serra is never one to shy away. It just seemed like they just wanted him to just push. Like they knew Iaquinta could win this fight. They just needed him to be like, all right, man, now's the time. Like you gotta pour it on now. Like he's given you his best. You've seen everything he can do. Now it's time for you to put your foot on the pedal. And by like that third round, man, he started letting that right hand go. Lee is constantly getting hit with that right. Iaquinta's working his jab. He's the one putting all the pressure. He's cutting the cage off. He was doing everything you would want your fighter to do in a fight that was pretty close, and you need somebody to really like assert themselves and kind of put a stamp on it. Because like Lee had good moments, but I felt like he didn't.
It's like once the fight got away from him, like he just seemed at a loss for what to do.
It was the Pettis effect, the Sergio effect.
Yeah.
Where like you get comfortable doing what you're doing, but when it's not working, you don't have like there's no recourse. Like you're just gonna keep trying it and hope that it kind of works out. And meanwhile, Al, boy, and that I think it was the last round. Boy, he was uncorking on Lee. Like Al was just landing jabs and power shots, and that right hand was just money all night. Yeah, he started catching Lee with combinations, and I mean, props to Lee, because he ate a lot of hard shots, especially like in the fourth and the fifth, and he managed to keep his wits about him. He was staying in the fight, so props to him. But boy, Al really, I think Al, including me, showed a lot of people like I'm here, like
dude, like he's always like, I probably did this too. Like after the Khabib fight, we all just kind of talked down Khabib's striking game because he was only able to jab, and he was doing and he was facing like Iaquinta, who had only fought like twice in 3 years. Like, Al's a really good boxer. All his problems have been on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, he is like, for a guy with his temperament, like the type of guy who will trash a hotel room because he didn't get a fight night bonus. Like, he is incredibly patient, and he sticks to a game plan like ridiculously strictly. Like, I expect a guy who does who acts and talks the way Al Iaquinta talks outside the cage to kind of go a little bit more the Derek Campos, John
Yeah.
Lineker.
Like he would just go berserk.
Exactly. But like even when Al was like really landing on Lee, he never got too far. Like he never he never got too far away from what was working, which was really just really brilliant feints with the jab to actually landing the jab, then throwing the right hand, whether that be up top or to the body, like just and the takedowns to strikes. That's the stuff I was really impressed with. Like where he would just grab at Kevin Lee's lead leg and then just come back with a hook or a spinning elbow or something like that.
Yeah, he going to spin an elbow like off top, I think, in the first. Well, I don't remember if it was the first or the second.
Yeah, it was first round. Less than a minute into the fight.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, he never deviated from the plan, and like it just got better as the fight went on. He just started landing more and more, and yeah, if you look at their faces after the fight, I mean, I know damage don't always, facial damage doesn't always tell the whole story.
Kevin Lee's face.
Like he got jumped in the alley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Iaquinta was throwing them things. He was they were hands to be caught. And
retroactively making freaking Khabib look like a god. God damn.
Yeah, man. Raging Al. Yeah, Lee, like I said, Lee had a solid performance. Obviously, by the end of the fight, you could tell by his reaction that he thought he won the first 3 rounds. I think I gave him the first 2, but even the rounds I gave him were competitive. Like, and then that 3rd round was kind of close. I don't think it was definitive enough that he could have felt comfortable that he really won it.
Yeah.
But nah, I almost felt bad for him because he looked really dejected after the fight. Like, he looked like his whole world just kind of, like he had the meanest reality.
Like, I think he really expected to just go in there and beat the crap out of Al. Like, their first fight was pretty competitive, and if you had asked anybody before the fight, they would have told you Lee's the one who's done all the growing since the first fight. Because Al's, like, it's kind of hard to tell with Al, because, like, people think he should have lost the Jorge Masvidal fight. And once you get past that fight, that was his only good win since beating Kevin Lee. Like, Diego Sanchez, Joe Lozon, who looks like he can't see punches coming anymore, Rodrigo Dam, and like Ross Pearson, who is like 1-5 in his last 6 or something crazy like that. Like, it hasn't been like this amazing stretch of wins for Al, but he's been growing, which is really weird because he missed like 2 whole years because he got in a fight with the UFC. He was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go sell real estate."
Yeah.
And Kevin Lee's been in here doing the damn thing, like having competitive fights with like Tony Ferguson and blowing Edson Barbosa out the water. Like, dude, like Magomed Mustafayev, Jake Matthews, Francisco Trinaldo, Michael Chiesa, Edson Barbosa. Those are all really good names that Kevin Lee has beaten in the past 2 years. And just to have this guy who basically not came off the couch, but like basically came back from a full-time job and was just like, I'm doing this shit now. That's gonna be soul crushing.
Yeah.
I'm worried because Kevin Lee's a guy who survives. Like, he lives and dies on like confidence because that's what he needs to do the stuff he does. So I'm worried a little bit about like, okay, how does he bounce back from this? Especially a division like a lightweight where like it's just a grind.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. Does not get any
So
easier.
I'm concerned about that. But
I just wish he would have. If he just would have pushed it a little more, man. Like if he just
got another takedown early, something like that. Like just It's unfortunate.
I don't know. I think he ate a lot of them right hands, and he just, I don't know, man. It just, Al took him out of his game. Like he could not. He had a good thing going in the first couple rounds, but he could not keep it up. And then when Al started going, he could not match it. And you know,
Uh,
things happen.
Al's fucking Instagram is just really bizarre. There's just a bunch of houses he sold, like some financial groups he's with, and then it's just him being like just being at UFC shows and jumping rope in his driveway shirtless.
I wonder if like, you know, when like you go to see a new house, they have like the models you can walk through. Like you walk through the model of the house, and he just has a poster in the living room of him. It's like his face is bleeding after you won a fight. He's like, oh yeah, I do that too.
He's like, that's my side gig.
Yeah, yeah. But nah, man. All the props in the world to Al. I know some people probably still felt some kind of way about the decision, but I'm not mad about it. Like when it went all 5 rounds, I did not feel confident that Kevin Lee was going to get his hand raised. Because I was like, some of these rounds were they were too competitive. Like you didn't distance yourself early. You didn't distance yourself enough to make me feel comfortable that you were going to walk away with this.
And this doesn't do anything to help with my belief that Kevin Lee is just really chinny, or at the very least eats too many clean shots.
Yeah, I won't say he's chinny because he still had like his wits about him while he was getting rocked, but he just ate. Yeah, he ate a lot of. He doesn't really move his head a whole time.
Nah.
Yeah, he kind of does leave himself because I think it speaks that and props to Al, but he landed that right hand a lot, like, and you would have thought after about the first 3-4 of those, Lee would have been like, all right, clearly this is the weapon of choice.
Clearly something's not working here.
Yeah, I need to adjust. So like I don't know what his cornerman told him but yeah, there needs to be some kind of adjustments made. And yeah, I thought he would have attempted more takedowns because clearly dude is just he's still one of the I would say second to Khabib. Well, some may argue first. He might be like the strongest lightweight. Like if he gets a hold of you,
you're probably going up for a ride.
Yeah, you're going for a ride. You're going down. There's no question.
I think it just a large part of it was what you call it, like he didn't want to gas in the 5-round fight. Like I think that's what it basically came down to, like why we didn't see more takedowns from Lee. At least early in the fight, like late in the fight, he was trying and he just it just was not working. And like Al is the guy who in the 3rd and 4th rounds of his fight with Khabib was just stuffing them like crazy. So like maybe their thought process was, okay, this guy can fight for 5 rounds, and he can stop takedowns late. So if we're going to be really judicious when we go for the takedown, because he got his first 3.
Yeah, I'm not saying he took his back. He landed some shots from the back. He went for a choke. He didn't get it. But yeah, after that, it just things fall apart. I guess. But nah, all props in the world to Al, man. I think he probably shut a lot of people up. He definitely shut me up. I gotta put respect on the man's name after that. So shout outs to Al. What do they do with him next?
Khabib. Or whatever. You had Dustin Poirier. Who else is out there? Tony Ferguson. If they don't want, like, I don't know what they're doing with like in regards to like Khabib's investigation and when he can fight again. I'm not forgetting somebody. Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje called him out.
I'm down for that.
That's some recklessness right there, man. I'm with it.
It is. But as we say, man, at lightweight, there's never a shortage of good matchups. There's somebody for everybody at lightweight. But no, props to Al Iaquinta, man. He real estate man out here laying hands. So shout out to him, man. Really great win for the main event. Co-main event, which is the fight that I was most excited for. Edson Barbosa and Dan Hooker. Man, oh man, oh man. I wasn't sure who to pick in this fight. This was kind of a 50-50 for me. Because I could easily have envisioned this fight being one of those fights where like Barboza was doing really good until he just got caught with something, and then it just, it ends up being one of those. But Barboza, man, leg kicks, lots of leg kicks. Good job of just really mixing it up, throwing a lot of combinations, but going to the body, going to the head. Just really good job of mixing it up, man. He hit Hooker with everything he had in the arsenal. But props to Dan. He never stopped pushing forward for as much as he ate. Like, all of the times he got hit from, I think he got rocked in the first. The man never pedaled backward. Well, till the fight was over.
Like, that's the safest place to be against Edson Barboza, though. You, like, just blindly running at him, because if you stay at distance, he's going to catch you because he's faster than you. If you back away, he's going to kick the crap out of your legs.
And Hooker had moments in, like, I think it was like the second round where he was finding that good distance, like kind of like that brawling distance where he was like kind of in the pocket and he was able to land good combinations. But those moments only lasted but so long, and then Barboza was able to kind of circle back out, get these leg kicks going, and then when the body kick started coming, boy.
That spinning back kick he landed in the third round?
Yeah.
That just, like, you could see, like, the life just drain out of Hooker's eyes as he went into full zombie mode.
Yeah. He kicked the soul out of Hooker.
Right.
Like, I'm convinced in the third that Hooker wasn't really there. Like, it was like an astral projection or something.
If you ask him today, he really might not remember the last round of that fight.
Yeah, because that was a man who was coasting. Like, he was barely alive. I wish I want to see like a one of those sports science things on like how hard Barboza kicks, because like that spinning back kick, like the strength, the accuracy of it, like, because he threw that repeatedly and landed flush both times. Or how many ever times he threw it?
Yeah, it helps that Hooker was basically on one leg for that part of the fight, so he just couldn't move out the way, and that he's not very quick. But yeah, no, like, this kind of just shows how crazy tough and fast and strong you have to be to put the type of pressure game on Edson Barboza to get him out of there. Because, like, Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee, Michael Johnson to an extent. Who's the other dude whose name is escaping me right now? Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee, Khabib. Like, so out of all those people, Fergs was the only one to stand with him, and Fergs and Johnson were the only people to stand with him for the entirety of their fights. And it's just a crazy amount of effort it takes a crazy amount of effort to break Edson Barboza. Like, we all kind of have the same image of him as the guy from who Jamie Varner, or was it Varner? Yeah, Jamie Varner just marched down. But he's not like that anymore. Like, you have to be on your game, and you have to do the right things, because no matter what, you're going to eat damage. Like, Tony Ferguson got the crap beat out of him basically up until the very last second of the fight, when Barboza just panic shot on the takedown because Ferguson just refused to go away. Like, yeah, even against Khabib, like in the third round, he was still out there. He was still throwing with everything he had. He managed to hurt Kevin Lee. So, like, I don't know. It just feels Hooker, for as good as he's looked, he's more of a sniper than he is somebody who's going to put volume on you and get you out of there that way. And it kind of showed here because like his head movement was gone by the second round. Like he
So zombie mode was in. He was in cruise
yeah, like
control, just kind of.
he's very much from the school of I guess like Conor McGregor, where like you land the straight hand and then you bounce out of range. Like you don't move your head like the traditional way, I guess. Where like you bend at the knees and you fold at the hips and then you're over your lead or back foot. Like he's not that type of guy. He just bounces out of range. And Barbosa got rid of that by kicking his leg like 1,000 times. Oof. Like I'm legitimately worried about the longevity of Dan Hooker and like his quality of life after that fight. Like that was probably the worst I've ever seen somebody's body get mangled like that.
Yeah, and like just repeated shots over and over. I mean, and props to him just for he was trying to tough it out, man. But they they could have threw in a towel at one of those points because like that last body shot kind of like sequence. He'll like get hit. He leans over like he's just about to fall over and die. He finds a way to stand back up, eat some shots, catches some hands, gets hit to the body again, and he leans over again, and it looks really, really bad.
Yeah.
And then he caught that last flurry to the body, and he just kind of folded.
Like the referee, like he had that look in his eye, like this is gonna go on as long as you keep walking forward.
I mean, and I actually just saw on Twitter as we're recording, Hooker apparently stayed an extra night in the hospital. He had a concussion. So
yeah, that's a fight that probably could have been stopped after the second round, to be honest with you, because the way he collapsed in his corner, like he that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, and this once again, kind of to your point earlier, speaks to how talented this division is. This is a man who was on a streak, man. Hooker had everything in the world going for him, and then you run into Barboza, and this happened.
Right.
So the road up lightweight is not good luck. Just best Godspeed to everybody who's trying to make it up the ladder. Cause man, you run into a guy that kicks that hard, and Jesus Christ. But props to Barboza, man. This fight I think kind of lived up to the bill, but man, if you're a Hooker fan, this hurts. This definitely hurts. But great fight, man. Great display of heart from Hooker, and for Barboza, just we know what Barboza's capable of when he's on his A game, and he gave us all that. And the only thing he didn't do was land the spinning kick. He threw it though, he just didn't land it. But props to Barboza. Awesome co-main event. Very, very violent. Moving on. Bantamweight fight. Rob Font, Sergio Pettis. Of course, Sergio Pettis moving up to bantamweight after it seems like flyweight is eventually going to go over yonder. Man, oh man.
This is going to be a reoccurring theme for a lot of those dudes who try to move up, and they just don't have that range game. Like they don't have that game that is based around closing distance. Like I don't even know if he's going to do well, but like Joseph Benavidez has that game, but he's older now and he's less explosive than he used to be. So who knows? But like Sergio Pettis, his entire game is built around him being the longer dude who can neutralize you at range. Rob Font, for all his flaws, is probably the best 1-2 puncher at bantamweight in terms of just like keeping guys at the end of his range, at the end of his power shots, especially that jab. And he beat the crap out of Pettis. Like
he boxed his face.
Yeah, like had the entire right side of his face just swollen and bleeding and lumpy, and it's just like there's no good matchups for you beyond this point. Like everybody can wrestle. Everybody's either really long or really athletic. Like, what do you have to offer to keep guys off you?
Yeah, especially because Pettis is one of those guys we've said as a criticism of him before. He never really like asserts himself in a fight. He just kind of goes out there, and if what's working's working, then cool. But if not, he doesn't really. There's no like extra gear that he's ever really shown us. And boy, yeah, in this fight, boy, did it show. Because just jab, 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 1-2, jab. Oh, you're still here, jab.
And then the takedowns.
And he was so much stronger than Sergio. Like, yeah, this fight was a clinic. And like, I was so like emotionally torn in this fight because on one hand, like Rob Font put on like a flawless performance. Like he did everything but get the finish. I mean, he put on a boxing clinic on Sergio, and then like you said, mixed in with the takedowns, he was clearly the stronger fighter. And then, but like I'm watching this fight, and I'm like, Rob Font's doing really good. And then I'm looking at Sergio, and I'm like I like Sergio. Like I want Sergio to do well. Like I want him to stay around. But I look at this fight, and I'm like, dude, if you couldn't get past Font, and not as a slight to Font, but I'm like, how if you don't do some kind of drastic change, I don't know how you're gonna survive. Like, I don't see it. I don't know, because bantamweight is slowly becoming another one of those divisions where like they're killers everywhere. Like just because you're fighting somebody not in like that top 10, they're still good. So it's not,
It's not, yeah, like real quick, who in the top 10 at bantamweight like is the best? Who is Sergio Pettis? Who does Sergio Pettis measure up against best at the top 10 at for bantamweight? It's Dillashaw, Garbrandt, Cruz, Assunção, Moraes, Rivera, Lineker, Sterling, Dotson, Munoz, Font.
Man, yeah, that I don't think I don't know if he beats any of them. Like, yeah, that is
Like I can't see him doing what he does and just out keeping guys at the end of his range for 15 minutes and then expecting a win. Like those are all dynamic athletes who have finishing potential and can close distance and or are just longer than him and can take him down.
The only two I give him like a slight chance would be Munoz and Dotson. Dotson only because he's like iffy sometimes with
Right.
me. Sometimes I don't know what, like I feel like he might just be able to catch Dotson on a bad day and like eke out a bad split decision. So maybe Dotson. I can't even say 100% confidence with Munoz.
Like, I think Munoz catches him and knocks him out or submits him or something.
Yeah.
Like,
and don't even get me started on Lineker and Rivera. Don't even mention the top 5 because those are all
Moraes. Oh my God, he
kill him. He would literally murder him. Yeah. Man. Even outside of the top 10, like
Cody Stamann,
that's not an easy
Thomas
fight.
Almeida is not an easy fight for him. Douglas Silva de Andrade is not an easy fight by any means. Ronnie Yahya. Like, Jose Formiga was able to get his back. Ronnie Yahya, one of the best submission artists in the game, breaks him down and subs him.
Yeah, that was my thought. Like watching this fight, like man, like is Sergio's getting handled. I don't want to see these other flyweights. If what we think is gonna happen, inevitably happens, that they, the ones that can move up the bantamweight move up, and then it, I feel like maybe if this was like 5 or 6 years ago, back when bantamweight was still getting his feet wet. Like, it was top heavy, but you got towards like the bottom half of like the top 10, and it was kind of
Scott
just
Jorgensen and
yeah.
Ryan Bowles.
Like that era. Yeah, like that era, Sergio might have been okay in.
Now it's
This
just,
era, yeah, it's different. It's completely different. Man, yeah, I feel bad for these flyweights, man, because I don't want to see this. I mean, luckily there are probably a couple flyweights who, when they go up to bantamweight, there's, maybe they'll keep some size. Like Figueroa is a pretty big flyweight. He might be okay at bantamweight.
the guys who are able to transition their style over really well, like John Lineker was able, like he realized, hey, I was never really quick at flyweight, but the energy, like I can now throw like an extra 5 punches on every combination. Or like John Dotson was like, I'm really quick. I can get in and out, and I might not be knocking these guys out like I was at flyweight, but I should be able to evade everything they're doing and like dance around them like he did Eddie Wineland or something. So those guys should be fine. Like I don't know how many of them there are though. Dustin Ortiz. I don't see that going, like a move up to 135 going well for him.
Yeah. I'd say outside of Davison, Figueroa, possibly Benavidez, just because he already has that experience. I guess Cejudo.
Like Cejudo's just a dynamic enough athlete and a ridiculous
his
wrestler.
Skill set
So.
his skill set will
And even then, like we don't expect. I don't think neither of you expect him to do well against CJ Dillashaw.
I think he'll have like a decent first round, and then after that, I don't know.
I question the depth of his game.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not looking good for any of these flyweights who got to move up. But all the props in the world to Rob Font, boy, that was hands on top of more hands on top of more hands. And he gets a dominant unanimous decision. And to round out 4-fight main card, rematch between Charles do Bronx Oliveira and Jim Miller. Boy, was this fight ended really quick. Do Bronx got a takedown, slammed Jim Miller, took him for a little ride. And we already know, even though Miller does have a really good ground, they both have really good ground games, but Du Bronx I think has gotten a lot better since then. Like Du Bronx when he fought versus Miller, was like 20.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a kid basically in fight years, so you couldn't even really count the first fight because they both changed since then. Like they both, completely different fighters. But I would say Oliveira probably a bit more improved, a bit more. I think he's made bigger strides. I mean,
Jim Miller had Lyme disease.
Yeah.
In the intervening years, like dude, and he's like 35. He's on the decline.
Yeah. So, but Oliveira took him down really quick.
He was like, "You sub me in 2 minutes, I'm gonna sub you in like 60 seconds," and he almost did it.
Yeah. Got him in a minute and 15, and like I said, that streak of all-time submissions, he's gonna blow that streak out.
You already got it.
Yeah, but he's just gonna keep adding. He's running up the scoreboard.
It might get to 30. Like he might get to 20.
Yeah, because he's at 16. Yep. Yeah. 20's because he's still really young. He's still pretty young. He's got time. 20 is not far-fetched at all. So yeah, he got a pretty easy win over Miller. Not really a ton to dissect because it was pretty quick. I wish he would chill out with
featherweight talk.
Featherweight talk. Yeah,
he came in at 152 pounds to make a point. I don't know what that point was because he threw around a career 155er.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I feel like now that he's gotten older, like, he's still, like, skinny and, like, lanky. But to me, he does look like he's filled out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because if you watch him in his first couple fights, he was a twig out there. but he looks like he's grown into like his grown man body.
Exactly.
And yeah, just stay at 55, bro. Just please, just don't call out Max Holloway. Don't do that.
I mean, you had your chance and you tore your esophagus. Like, let it go.
Yeah. But that was the main card. And actually, you know what? Since we're doing pretty good on time, real quick, I'll talk about 2 of these prelims. Well, I'll just read the results up. But Zach Otto defeated Dwight Grant via split decision. I'm not really gonna go into that fight. But Drakkar Close and Bobby Green. Did you get a chance to watch this?
Bobby Green should have won.
This was fun. Yeah, this was a. I felt bad. I felt really bad for Bobby because I was listening to the commentary and they were like he started like a new strength and conditioning program and he did look a little. He looked a little bigger, a little more, like he packed on a little bit of muscle, a little bit of mass. But no, this was a really fun fight. I thought Bobby had a really good performance. Really, it was a good showing from both of them. Yeah, man. I thought Bobby would have got the nod, but he lost 29-28 across the board. Did you see what he posted on IG?
Post?
Yeah, he said he's retiring.
Makes me sad.
Yep.
Bobby Green, just like one of the bizarre MMA careers, like, and sad. Like, obviously talented dude, can't get out of his own head sometimes. Out here having competitive fights with Edson Barboza and Rashid Magomedov. Tore his ACL, lost his brother to gang violence, almost lost his other brother to gang violence, had a hit on his head in the middle of his UFC career, and was like forced to sleep on his like coach's couch to avoid like getting murdered. Like, dude has had a crazy ass career. If this is it, that sucks. But like, do what you gotta do to be happy.
Yeah, he posted on IG. I don't know if it was last night or just like early this morning, but he was like, yeah, like he thought he won the decision, but I guess it kind of is what it is. Well, it did sound like he felt some kind of way about the judges, but basically he was like, this sport, it's been great, but taking time away from family. He's got kids, so he wants to spend more time with his kids and do the whole family thing. And I'll at least say for Bobby, I've never, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, really seen like a bad Bobby Green fight.
I mean,
more often than not, I feel like his fights they're fun, they're competitive.
People didn't like the Thompson fight and the Magomedov fight, but like for the most part, like when he's on, like we get stuff like the Venata fight and the Coke fight, what he did to Pat Healy, like that type of stuff. That's great.
Yeah, he's had some really good performances, and he was one of those guys who came over from Strikeforce. I think he had a pretty solid career. Like, obviously, I feel like he could have done a bit more, but just the nature of the game, man. Sometimes it just things just don't go your way all the time. But I mean, if he did retire, man, best of luck to him and whatever he chooses to do after. And at least like if he has retired, because I still take fighters saying they retire with a grain of salt. But you retire while you're still young. Hopefully you haven't taken too much damage. You're still coherent. Like, you're still healthy.
Go find something else to do and dedicate your life to. Hopefully.
Yeah. So if this is indeed the last we've seen of him, best of luck. And I've enjoyed watching the fight, man. And like I said, the times he's been on, he's put on really good performances. He's been an entertaining fighter. I've enjoyed his game and watching him fight. But props to Drakkar Close, though. He did get the unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. So shout out to him. The next fight I want to mention, which got fight of the night, Joaquim Silva and Jared Gordon. Punches and bunches. This was a really fun. I don't know, like if you would have showed me this card and asked me what would have got fight of the night, I don't know if this is the fight I would have like immediately drew my
I
eyes
probably
to.
would have said like a performance of the night because Silva is in that Thiago Santos live by the sword, die by the sword school of fighting. But I don't think, yeah, I did expect this.
Yeah, they both were. It was. We were throwing for blood. We're playing for keeps. we going for it all, man. These two came out and put on a really, really great fight. And my God, that last KO sequence, the standing KO, where like Joaquin just unleashes a combination on him, and Jared is standing against the cage, but like the whole upper half of his body is slumped over, but his legs are just kind of keeping him afloat. Um, no, this was a really, really fun fight. Go back if you can and watch
Oh
that.
yeah,
Definitely worthy of fight of the night. Like those dudes came in and, like we said, all of the lightweights on this card, all of them put on good performances. Like all of the lightweight fights were really good, and this was probably the best one.
Yeah.
Well, it got fight of the night, so it got them extra 50 Gs.
Joaquin Silva just pointing to the ground and saying, "We're going to live and die here."
Right. And Jared's like, "Oh, word."
And Jared Gordon wanting no part of that. Like you could see it in his eyes, and he shot for a takedown. And he was like, "He's for the love of God, just stop." We should mention this is a comeback victory. Joaquin Silva almost got knocked out in the opening minutes of the first round, and then somewhere in the back half of the round, landed a right hand into a flying knee.
Oh yeah, and his cauliflower ear got busted.
Yeah.
Open. Yeah, completely just because he got it. I think Gordon caught him with a right. It busted the cauliflower ear, and then the knee came like not long.
Also,
after.
he almost got
a
knee bar from the back. Now.
Oh. I was trying to think of a name for that submission because it looked really weird. Because like it was a knee bar, but he had like it was like he folded his body up. I was gonna call it.
I'm pretty sure it's the Suliev stretch.
Cause that looked really uncomfortable, and luckily that was at like the end of the round. Cause I think if that round would have lasted maybe like another
5 seconds.
Yeah, he would.
Dude, he was already screaming. I'm surprised he didn't like. You could hear him like grunting because of the.
Yeah, cause his knee was like up to like his shoulder. Yeah, it was bad. But nah, amazing fight, and I'm glad that those two got fight of the night, because I think we've seen other cards where like lesser known fighters will put on an amazing fight, and they might get overshadowed by like main card fighters because they're main card fighters, and they might, and not to say that the main card fighters don't deserve it, but they kind of like overshadow the little guys, so to speak. So it was good to see Silva and Gordon, who aren't like really huge names, get fight of the night. Guys who probably really need that 50 Gs got that 50 Gs. So big props to them, man. That was a really good fight. And I'll just quickly move down the ladder. The rest of the card. Jack Hermanson bullied Gerald Meerschaert into a guillotine choke via submission. That's the most dominant Hermanson performance I think I've ever seen. He gave him the little brother treatment. Zach Cummings defeated Trevor Smith via unanimous decision. Dan Ige, I never know how to say his last name.
I think it's Ige.
Ige defeated Jordan Griffin via unanimous decision. At 205 in the Fight Pass prelims, Mike Rodriguez put on a good performance, defeated Adam Milstead via TKO. I need to go back and watch that fight. Wanted to see that finish. But shout outs to Milstead. He retired. He actually posted before this fight that if he lost to Rodriguez, he would retire. And he put his gloves in the cage at the end. So, shout outs to him. Best of luck in future endeavors. And Juan Adams, who I want to say he was on the Contender Series, right? Remains undefeated. Defeats Chris De La Roca via TKO in round 3. I need to go back and watch that fight. I had it on, but I think I was watching something else at the same time. But shout out to Juan Adams. He came from the Contender Series. I think he's 4-0 or maybe 5-0 now. in his career. But, just good to see one of the Contender Series guys, coming, especially at heavyweight, in a division that needs any new face it can get, coming in and got a solid win. So, shout outs to Juan Adams. And, that was UFC on Fox, the last Fox card. So, it's kind of wild, man. This year of MMA, we've gotten a lot of wild fights. And now we're coming to, like, end of eras. Like, HBO's gone, Fox is out of here, and then we're starting new eras. We got the Zone popping off, One Championship. They're going to have a lot going on next year. And then the UFC is, kicking off this ESPN deal next year. So, 2018, like I said, another wild chapter going on in the world of MMA. In 2019, I'm pretty sure we'll carry the baton.
And John Jones isn't even back yet.
Right. We have not finished. And, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So, as far as what will be on this podcast for the remaining, because, we're winding down 2018. We only have one, we got Jones Gus on December 29th. PFL comes back on the 31st, and then we'll also have Ryzen. That's the 31st, right?
That's the 31st, and there's apparently a card on the actual January 1st, but it's currently at the moment not available to U.S. people outside Japan. From what I understand, there's a petition going around for Ryzen to put it on Fight TV, but I'm not.
Oh yeah, I did see somebody post.
But I'm not putting down an extra $20. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we have by the time you guys hear this, it'll probably be, I guess, probably like Tuesday. So you guys are either hear this either Monday or Tuesday. So it should be either the 17th or 18th when you guys are listening. So there are no cards this weekend. Of course, we got Christmas weekend. So I'm not sure if we'll scrap together, if I can just think of like a fun idea of something to just shoot a nonsense show on Saturday. If you don't hear from us together as the Dojo Talk podcast, I might just use this weekend, since it's open, to do a solo podcast of my top 20 albums of the year. I'll try to put out something this weekend. Some you guys can listen to. But I guess if you don't hear from us together this weekend as the Dojo Talk podcast, the next time you'll hear from us will be that following weekend. So that would be the 30th after the Jones fight goes down. So I guess I'll have to wish you guys a Merry Christmas early, because you may not potentially hear from both of us until after Christmas.
So yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. Be nice to people. 'Tis the season of giving. Be kind to each other. Help people out. All that good stuff. And hopefully it's not too cold where you're at. Yeah. So, and we'll start 2019 probably covering Ryzen. And then we'll do our Dojo Talk podcast award show, and I'll figure out how to do the rest of. We'll you know how we do on this podcast.
January's gonna be weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up until Brooklyn and Fedor and all that good stuff.
Yeah. January is gonna be a interesting year. I guess I'll let you guys know beforehand, even though we've kind of many addresses before. So the Anti-Cool will not be covering the Brooklyn card. Is that not the Brooklyn?
Yes.
The Brooklyn card? Yeah, that's
pure spite.
Yeah, he will not be here for that. So I don't know if I'll go solo, if I'll drag Joey into this if he wants to, but I'll drag my feet along, and I'll be here for that card. So I'll figure out something to do for that. But either way, you guys will still be hearing from us. The sport never lets us sleep. So, like I said, I'm going to try to put out something this weekend since there are no cards. So, I don't know if I'll just come up with an idea for something fun, something we don't really got to stress over this weekend, or I'll just use that time to do my favorite 20 albums of the year. So, give me some time to actually work on that. But you'll be hearing from us soon. But, like I said, if you don't hear from both of us as the Dojo Talk podcast before next year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays. You guys be safe, and all that good stuff. But as always, to close out the show, parting shots and shout outs. So a couple of shout outs I have, going back to the Invicta FC card on their prelims, which aired on Facebook, which I forgot was still a thing. Chantel Coates got the fastest KO in Invicta history, which was a 28-second KO over Ashlyn Kleinbeck. I think she caught her with her right hand and just kind of floored her. So shout out to Chantel Coates making history. And so yeah, shout out to her. Go. Oh, I don't know where you can watch that fight. You can probably. I know the KO's on Twitter. Okay, all right. So yeah, go watch it on
the
Facebook.
Invicta Facebook page. Go to videos, and it should be like one of the most recent ones they posted. It's the one that's like an hour long or something.
There you go. And that fight only 28 seconds. She blasted Kleinbeck, I think, with like a right hand, and she shut those lights out. So shout out to her for making history, and a black woman making history. That's awesome. Right hands putting lights out.
We need more black women in MMA.
We do. And she
Angela Hill can't do it all by herself.
On a college basketball tip, shout outs to my Tar Heels, man. They pulled the upset over Gonzaga, 103-90. I've not been keeping up with college basketball as much as I wanted to. I started off good in the beginning of the year, and then I kind of fell off. But, things never really get super crazy until March anyway. But, got to give my Tar Heels a shout out for that. And shout outs to Bellator light heavyweight Linton Vassell, because he was the first professional follower to follow us on Instagram. So you should follow suit. Follow us on Instagram, Dojotalkpodcast. Like I said, I don't really know what the Instagram content will be aside from posting podcasts, but I try to post something, a couple times a day, trying to keep it somewhat active so people know we exist. All that.
Don't you love how you can't post links?
Right. So I did. This is when I had my first old man moment. So my original first post was actually a link to the last episode, and then I posted it, and then I went back to look at the post to see how it looked. I was like, oh, people can't click on this. It's like, oh, that's trash. And I deleted the whole post.
Instagram.
Yeah. So but nah, we're on Instagram. I'm trying to use that more. Trying to be more engaged on social media. So you guys give us a follow, and just shout out to everybody, man, who's been listening. We're getting close to the end of the year, and shout out to you guys who continue to listen, continue to support, and we'll keep bringing it on next year. And that's all I got. I don't have any shots. I'll be good this year. I won't no shots. I want to end the year on a positive, good vibe.
I don't got no shots either. I feel like I should have more shots. I'm a very angry, spiteful person. So I feel like I should have more shots, but I don't right now. So instead, I will say, go watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's amazing. I saw it Thursday. I'm gonna go see it again sometime this week. Maybe after I'm done here. Maybe later tonight.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm looking up tickets right now because that is exactly what I'm about to do within the next 3 hours.
No, great movie. Favorite Spider-Man movie. Favorite superhero movie. So if you haven't gotten to see that, go see that. And shouts to Katie Taylor. We didn't get a chance to talk about her, but she fought and defended her title on the undercard for Canelo fielding at MSG. Clean sweep on the cards. I think she won 10-0. Defended both her titles. I'm really boxing is weird and it's political, so I don't know if we get the Michaela Mayer Katie Taylor fight in 2019 at the DAZN broadcast team, who are god awful. That's my shot. Sergio Mora and whoever the hell the other guy was, I think it was Todd Grisham. Y'all are terrible. Stop talking. Gina Rodriguez freaking was the best commentator on the undercard until Sugar Ray Leonard woke up from his nap and came to commentary to save us. Like, good God. But shouts to Keith Taylor. I don't know, because Mayer is on ESPN, and I don't know how they would, do that, deal with that, get that fight made. But shouts to both women, or shouts to not Mayer, shouts to Taylor. What else? Oh, we should have 3-minute rounds for women, because like I feel like she would have got Ava Wallstrom out of there if she had 3-minute rounds. Like 2-minute sprint rounds, I think it leads to a lot of defensive-ness, a lot of survive to the bell. It's not a lot of time to work. It's just like a lot of volume and not a lot of strategically placing your shots. Like if you watch the 2016 Women's World Championships and the 2018 Women's World Championships, you see such a big difference in how the fights are actually fought. These things make a difference. So give these women 3-minute rounds. Stop being weird.
Yeah, because it doesn't, because I noticed that, what fight was up? There was some women's fight I watched as a recent, and I was like, why is this fight going by so fast? Because I didn't notice that the rounds were shorter. And then I looked, and I was like, this doesn't make, it's not like because they're women that they don't have cardio and they're not capable of, it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, heavyweights still have to fight 3-minute rounds, and
they're right. If it's anything, they're the ones who need shorter rounds.
Right. And it is really bizarre because Strikeforce used to do it back in the day with like the 4-minute rounds, and it's just like, guys, it's MMA. They're full-grown women. Let them do this. Like, come on.
Yeah, don't treat them like they're like
what you're doing is you're making it seem like less of a sport, which is wrong.
And it's like, they're just as, they can do all of the same things. Like, it's fighting. Anybody can get knocked out. Anybody can get subbed. It's not like because they're women that their skill sets are like limited. Like there's no reason just to make the round shorter. Like it doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
Like you're giving them special rules like for no reason at all. Yeah, it's stupid. But yeah. So that's pretty much it for today.
It's over.
Close the curtain.
We talked about 5 cards, man. Like, well.
You know what? We actually still made good time.
Well, we didn't talk about every fight, which thank God.
Oh yeah, because you know what inspired me to not want to talk about every
fight? Zach Otto versus Grant.
I didn't want to be the guy to say it. But I was watching that fight, especially it was like after the first round. I was like, I'm not rewatching this.
I'm kind of sad we didn't talk about every fight, so I couldn't talk about how surprised I was that Zach Cummings was not middleweight the entire time, because he is. Those are some big dad vibes, man. Like, you look at this man, you're like, this man has at least 2 children.
Oh yeah, he's a barbecue fight league material all the way. All the way. He's definitely fighting for the
exactly, and the family, the other family.
Right.
There's a man who, if he fought in the barbecue fight league, he'd have multiple families.
Yeah. He's number 1 contender, just off rip. You just look at him, it's like, yeah, you're fighting for the title. You have the barbecue fight league look. You fit the mold. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. But yeah, like I said, man, just in case like it's a while before you guys hear from us together again, if you're listening to this on Tumblr, if you vacate Tumblr, like I said, be sure to follow us on all socials. I'll have links posted to follow us on Instagram. Got the Facebook page. We're both on Twitter.
SoundCloud. Spotify,
SoundCloud, Spotify,
MySpace.
Go to iTunes.
Live Journal.
LinkedIn.
Like Google City Pages, Geo Pages.
Yeah.
You can catch us on
Yeah,
there.
we're everywhere. Can I make us a wiki page? Yeah. I gotta see if I can I create my own. Let's see if I can do that.
All I'll say is 2019 Barbecue Fight League TV channel deal coming soon.
Oh yeah.
It's
There we
it's
go.
in the
Merch
works.
and it's coming. It's coming. We're talking to people.
Making calls, securing investments.
Yeah. I don't know if these people ever get their money back, but
We're gonna be on the Golf Channel, the Outdoor Channel. What's another dad channel?
I feel like somehow that fits in National Geographic, and I don't know.
Nat Geo is a little too high, a little too ritzy for the Barbecue Fight League. So it would have said Spike back in the day, but
We'd be on Vice.
Vice has heavy divorce, single dad vibes to it, so I can see that happening.
There you go. We'll be on Vice. Well, yeah, we'll have that barbecue fight league. But nah, man,
the Playboy channel, you know, all the important ones.
Sponsored by Cam.
Exactly. Maybe nah. I was gonna say maybe we could get a deal with Cam Soda, but I'm like, let's be real. They're not into barbecues.
Oh man, I don't want to go to another side rec. It's supposed to be closing, but that just made me think about the Bare Knuckle Fight League. You hear that they haven't gotten paid yet?
We're expected to get paid. Oh God, never trust anybody from Wyoming. Like,
yeah.
I know we rag on it. I rag on the state a lot. It is very lovely. Don't trust people from Wyoming. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. They went and put their knuckles on the line, and they have not gotten any compensation.
Now you can't freaking write with pens. Now how you feel? You can't close your hands.
Oh man, but yeah, man. You guys just give us follows on all socials, man. We'll be here, so give us a follow. Buy my book, The All About Chronicles, for $9.90, and then go on. I said $9.90, 99 cents. And then go on Amazon and say nice things about it because it'll make me happy. And I hope you guys have a great Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa. Be nice to each other. Hope all your gifts are
Wait,
awesome.
the WBKF president is Boss Rutan.
Boss, you better use that money for those exercise systems you sell.
Are these freaking karate people getting paid? The karate combat people, are they getting paid, or is just nobody listening to them?
They bet one. You know what I feel like the karate combat, like one of those rich smug people in the background just throws like $100. He like just flails it in the air after the fight's over. Like, here, peasant, you did good today. He like tucks it in his gi.
Wait,
Go take this. Don't spend it all at once.
As you can read in the statement, that the owner Tom was in the hospital a week before the fight because of all the crap that happened, the stress Paul Tyler has inflicted, and Tom's health is not doing better. So I've been trying to get a hold of him since yesterday, and he just called me back saying he went to home early because it's driving him nuts.
Jesus Christ.
He just assured me the fighters will be paid 100% certain. Also, the cars, Mustangs, that were promised to Julian Lane and Joey Angelo will be there once they go through inspection. These cars are one-of-a-kind cars, special engine, custom rims, wrap around it, etc. They just need inspection before they get okay. That's why, as it's how it has his mind only on getting money for the fighters. It unfortunately is taking longer. Boss, you should have had a proofreader. So basically, the owner of the money man at the World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation was in the hospital allegedly, and is just now getting out allegedly. It is now just like the cars didn't even get. They got repossessed, meaning nobody paid for them.
That guy caught strep throat and he got out of here. he saw the checks wasn't adding up. He was like, oh, cough, cough. Yeah, I'm out. I'm good. Have fun, boss.
Grifter.
Hope. Yeah. Oh, boy.
I hope
But,
those $20 that you got off of the internet stream was worth it.
But if this is the last time you guys hear from us, like I said, man, Happy New Year's. Merry Christmas. 2019. We'll be doing more with the podcast. There's a reason I joined Instagram. I'm going to try to get some more interviews popping next year. But just stay tuned in, man. SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, questions at DojoTalkPodcast@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter at Serial Sensei. And hit us up on Facebook at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page. So until next time, man, as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. This has been episode 114 of the Dojo Talk Podcast. And until next time, Merry Christmas, and we will catch you guys later.